This time last year, I found out that my dad had got kidney cancer, and it made me reflect so much on my health. I'd gained 3 stone since COVID and lockdown, and I was on this journey of takeaways, unhealthy eating, 0 exercise. Fast forward a year later, I've lost over 2 stone, and more than anything, I feel so good from making healthy, long-lasting habits that have really stuck. Not because I want to look a certain way like I used to, all these awful thoughts that I used to have about comparing myself to other women and trying to make my body look smaller and really unrealistic beauty standards. All of that has completely gone, and instead now I'm really focused on what I put into my body, how healthy am I being, can I get up a hill without being out of breath, am I making the best decisions for my body? And that is what I want to share with you today. So many people are in this kind of fight with themselves where they've really overcome wanting to be a certain size and look a certain way, and you don't want to go backwards with that about yourself, but at the same time you know you're probably not making the healthiest choices with what you're eating, lack of exercise, and all these decisions do have an effect later on in life, which is something that I've really thought about a lot more. I'm going to share with you this video that I saw the other day, and this really puts into perspective how I have changed my mindset when it comes to healthy eating and making habits that last and are not about how you look.
You were given a human, and you were told, hey Drew, you have one job for the rest of your life. You have to take care of this human. Most of us have not realized that that's our job. We finish our parenting where we were raised by somebody else. We go out into the world and we start looking for someone else to show up for us. But we are our human. The only person who's truly here to take care of Matthew is me. He's in my custody. And when you wake up in the morning and you say, what would I do today if I was taking care of my human? The answer is completely different to what we do most days when we beat ourselves up, when we put ourselves around toxic people or around people who don't treat us well. Yeah. It's completely different. And what it makes us realize, and this is the big mistake, loving ourselves isn't a feeling. It's an approach. It's a job. You don't even have to like yourself today to love yourself. Liking yourself can come later with all of the ways that you make yourself proud and all of the things you do. Loving yourself today is your job. And we have to start taking that job seriously because we are our human.
So ask yourself right now, do you get up every morning and prioritize yourself? Are you treating your body how you would treat your children or your pet or any circumstance that you really care about? No. I think majority of us would say no. And I, even now after a year of prioritizing my health, can still say there's days where I'm definitely not making the right choices. So this video here is to motivate you to prioritize yourself and also motivate me to get back into prioritizing myself. I've obviously enjoyed Christmas, as we all have, so I've gained a little bit of weight, and that is completely fine. One thing I have really noticed, I have incorporated few bad habits back over the last few weeks over Christmas, and that's what's really made me realize how far I have come and changed mentally with these habits. It's not just something that's a quick fix or a fad. I've really implemented changes into my life that come so easily to me now, and when I don't stick to those, I genuinely feel awful. So I've had headaches for the last few weeks because I've been drinking, I've been eating pork again, I've been eating butters, oils, things like that, stuff that I've just naturally cut out and I'm going to cover in a second. I've also stopped exercising. I've not really been doing anything. I've just been relaxing, and that's obviously fine. We're allowed to have a rest, and that's what Christmas is all about. But from that, I'm really struggling to get out of bed in the morning. I'm going to bed at like 1 a.m. again, and this is just a really toxic cycle that I get in. When I'm not looking after my body, I'm having biscuits for breakfast, too much coffee, loads of sugar, alcohol, processed foods. I'm genuinely finding it hard to go to bed at a reasonable hour and get up at a reasonable hour. I go back into this like teenage state where I'm going to bed at 1 a.m. and getting up at 9 a.m. and I'm just not getting anything done with my business or anything productive. If you have never seen my content before and you are new to my videos, I'm Emily and I'm here to help you feel your best. I started my channel 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago, it's a long time. creating helpful content for women to feel their absolute best, and that has not changed. And that's what I want to do today. I want to be on this journey together, and I know so many of you probably come from my Instagram as well, to start January off in a really positive way. If you want to see my journey of how I've lost 2 stone, it will be linked down below in the description. I documented the full journey from January to November. It's all down there. You can watch every single episode, but you don't need to, because I'm going to explain everything that I've done in this video. But if you want more content, it's all down below. So what were the healthy habits that I have changed that's helped me lose over 2 stone and keep it off? Number 1 is wasted calories. So I'm not telling anybody to be in a crazy deficit of calories. This is not what this is about. We are making healthy habits that stick. So to do that means subtle changes to start with that make a big difference. And then as time goes on and you start to lose more and more weight, you start to decrease the calories until you're in a happy place with how much you are eating. You should never ever feel hungry. That is not a substantial way to lose weight. You are gonna crash, burn and binge before you know it. Everything I've done slowly over 11 to 12 months. I've kept the weight off because the things that I'm doing are not hard. I'm never hungry. I'm never restricting myself. I'm never thinking, oh, I would love to eat that, and stopping myself. There's nothing that I have stopped myself from having that I didn't want to have. I've just substituted it for something else. So number 1 is small changes make a big difference, and that is thinking about how many calories you're consuming in wasted calories. I've covered this in one of my other videos, but how much butter, oil are you having when cooking? Are you frying things? Could you bake them in the oven? Are you having a lot of fried food? How much veg are you eating? Just really small changes like this make the biggest difference. So I went from free pouring olive oil into a pan, which when I worked it out was around like 200, I can't remember the exact calories right now, but it was over 200 calories just from the oil alone before I even started cooking. Then I might have in the morning a crumpet with loads of butter on. Butter, oh my gosh, butter and cheese, they are my weaknesses. I've said this in all my other videos as well, but butter and cheese, I love them so much. As the years gone by, I used toast yesterday with butter on, and I actually really disliked it. I could really taste how, like, it was overbearing. I'm not saying to cut out butter completely, but ask yourself how much butter, how much cheese are you actually having. Then coffees and coffee syrups. Milk, having loads of milk in your coffee, and you're having like 4 or 5 coffees a day or teas. The amount of calories in milk is quite significant. Then if you add a syrup into there as well, or sugar, oh my God, you are having such wasted calories. I reckon if you actually worked it out, you're probably having more calories in wasted calories than you are having in actual nutritional calories. And that's something that you really need to ask yourself and work out and keep a diary, because honestly, it really surprised me how much I was binging on empty calories and empty nutrition. So like I said, butter, oil, milk, sugar, syrups in my coffee. I cut all of those out. And now I have these skinny syrups, which I put in my coffee. I also changed from instant coffee to espresso. I have espresso pods, or I've just bought myself a new Sage espresso machine, which I am obsessed and addicted with. Really monitoring how much milk I'm having in there and just frothing it up and making sure that I'm not overdoing it with the amount of milk that I'm consuming. Skinny syrups, no calories, no sugar. They just taste exactly the same, and if anything, they're actually too sweet, so I only have like a really small amount because they are so overbearingly sweet. Butter, I just completely removed it from my fridge. If it's not there, you can't eat it. You do not need butter to cook with. Or it's just a nice to have. I was putting butter on my veg, I was putting butter on my jacket potatoes, cheese. If you are overeating and you cannot stop yourself from over binging on these certain foods that have got no nutritional value, then you need to just remove them from the house. Once they've gone, you won't even notice. That's what I found. I was a full-blown crumpet and butter addict. Then the same with oil. We still use oil, but instead we use like a spray oil, or I'll just measure it out so that I know I'm having enough. We also just got an air fryer. I've been using that a lot this year. We just got a new one because we've used the other one so much. Then also baking things in the oven. You don't actually need oil a lot of the time for things that you bake in the oven, or like water in certain recipes and things. You just don't need a lot of oil. It's just this weird thing that we do where we put loads of olive oil in a pan and fry things when we just don't really need to do that. You can just bake it in the oven and it tastes exactly the same, if not better. So that's number one. Number two is exercise. So I started exercising from day one in January. I bought a treadmill, which is here, and it's not in working order right now. It's put away for Christmas, but I will be getting that back out very soon. Started by walking. I started walking 3 days a week on an incline, but again, you don't need a treadmill to do that. That was just something that I purchased because I was like adamant that I needed all the gear and no idea. It has been really helpful. You can get walking pads, and I'll link some down below on TikTok Shop and things like that that are really good value, but you definitely do not need to do that. You just need to go and walk. Even my mother-in-law will walk on the spot in the house or run on the spot in the house. There's just no excuse. You can exercise and walk. And what I was doing when I first started was getting up and doing that before work. As time's gone on in my journey, I've then upped that to doing Pilates, weight training, running, and I'll go into that further in my next video. But exercise, just being active, even just moving your body, something that I've incorporated in, and I can't believe I'm going to show this on the internet, but it's just moving my body. And when I put music on, instead of just like swaying around, like actually moving my body. So if I'm cleaning, or if I'm brushing my teeth, or if I'm just in the house watching something and I feel the motion to want to dance, I'm just dancing, because the more you move your body, the more you're gonna feel good, the endorphins are gonna move. If you're not somebody who wants to start running or dedicating any time to exercising until you've got your healthy habits underway, that's completely fine too, and that's what I did. I just walked every single day as much as I can, or in the office I was making sure that I was going up and down the stairs as many times as I can, or if I was sat there for ages at my desk, I'm making sure that I'm trying to be active and I'm not just sedimentary, sat there all the time. I mean, the basics of this is eat less and move more and you'll lose weight. That is it. But obviously that means so much more in the grand scheme of things if you want this to be a lifestyle change. There's so many fads out there where you could lose weight in 2 weeks by drinking something or doing something, but these are not long-lasting things. You're gonna gain the weight back, if not more, because you're gonna be binging. Whereas making these long-lasting habits, the weight is gonna stay off. You are the only person that can keep you accountable for these things, and if you decide to change your mindset to be in this positive, looking after your body, nurturing your body, thinking about what you're putting in, you will do all of these things without even thinking, because you're like, why the hell would I want to excessively drink all that alcohol in one night? Or why would I want to eat that much butter and fried food when it doesn't make me feel good? But if I had fish and chips and you eat it and then afterwards you're like, I literally can feel the oil going down into my arteries. Like that feeling, like I don't want that feeling anymore. And I actually really enjoy the feeling of getting up early in the morning and going for a walk, and like those good endorphins after you've exercised. And I've started reading a lot more, so I have more time to myself, and I've discovered so many new healthy habits from starting the small habits that have just blossomed into this new way of thinking. It's affected my work. My business is up 67% on the year. I just don't think it's any coincidence. There's been so many things that have changed in a positive way for us. I've been very clear of what I've wanted to do, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's to do with that I've really been prioritizing my mental health and physical health, and everything has just come together because I know I am making the most of life. I'm not just sitting there waiting for something to happen to me. I want you to watch this video and feel so motivated to do that, because the things I've done are so small and simple. And number 3 is always being prepared. I've mentioned this so many times in other videos, but something that's really helped me stay consistent and see progress is being prepared. You do not want to be doing what I've done many a time, and that is come home from work, have nothing in the fridge, and the first thing you do is go and get a takeaway. Throughout this process, I have gained weight and lost weight again. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You have to be fully committed to making these lifestyle changes. You also have to be kind to yourself at the same time and know that everything doesn't happen overnight. This is going to take a while. You're going to have some weeks where you're like, I've not lost any weight and I feel like giving up, but you've got to stay consistent. And one of the biggest things that will change that is if you are prepared. So meal preps, I use a meal prep company, or I've been using M&S for quick meals I need to just grab, and I know that they are low in calories, snacking on the right things, so having carrots and hummus as a snack, or one of my favorites is guacamole with these rye biscuits from M&S. This is the thing, I work in the office 4 days a week, 9 to 5 with the girls, and we're all like, should we go to Sam Masani's and have a jacket potato with cheese? And so many times I would do that. Whereas this year, what I've changed is bringing meals to work, being prepared, even down to having cravings in the afternoon where I'm like, oh my God, I need something sweet, and having the mini cookies that I get where I know that there are 100 calories in that bag, and I don't actually need anything more than that. You'd be surprised how much you overeat because it's just there to consume. So instead of just like binging on biscuits in the office, I'm like, right, I know that I can have one of these packets of mini cookies and I can still eat cookies every day. Same with meal preps. I know that I want to have more protein in my meals throughout the day, so I'm making sure I'm having chicken, but I'm not having a jacket potato with butter, cheese, and then a dollop of chili on top. Like, I do not need to have 700 to 800 calorie meal for my lunch and then go home and eat something else. Same with alcohol. Obviously, things really changed for me last year, and I documented that in the Healthy Habits series where I got my drink spiked, and that definitely had a major impact on me drinking. So I haven't really drunk much at all this year. There's obviously been a few times like when we're on holiday and stuff, I've had a few drinks and whatever, but I've really cut down on drinking, and I just have a margarita now if I do. Margarita with some lime, but again, nothing, I don't really drink that much and I don't miss it. I feel so much better for not over drinking. Don't get me wrong, over Christmas I've had a lot of Baileys and Bucks Fizz and things like that and let my hair down, but I genuinely feel rubbish from doing it. My skin's not been good, and yeah, I just don't need alcohol. I don't know whether it's something you do as you get older. You either become like a drinker or you have a drink in the house, or you don't. But we've got a full bar behind me here, and it's just not something that I look to do anymore. I really prioritise getting up and exercising and having a clear head, focusing on my business. I have drunk enough for probably like 50 people in my adolescence, of my teenage years and my 20s. I think I'm done with the over drinking. That's not to say you have to cut it out completely. If you do like a drink, just maybe monitor how much you're having, change it up. Like, do you actually need to have a porn star martini that's full of sugar, or could you have a vodka and soda, or could you have a tequila and lime? Like, there's loads of stuff you could change, and ask yourself, do you actually really need that much alcohol? Being prepared, making sure you've always got some food in the house or meal preps, they've majorly helped me. Deleting fast food apps from your phone. If you're an addict, I'm not joking, I was an addict. We were having a takeaway probably 4 days of the 7, and it was because we were so busy at work. Like I said, coming home, nothing in the house, it's just an easy thing to do. So I've completely cut that out, deleted the apps. We do still have takeaways. We have it on a weekend if we want to, or we actually prefer just to eat and cook ourselves now. But having things in the house, if you do know you're busy, meal preps that I get from Bozo, which I'll link down below, I sometimes freeze, so I know there's always food in the house. I'll just, like I say, grab one of those M&S meals. Probably not the most healthy because they're definitely processed, but it has worked for me to have more vegetables and not have a Chinese takeaway on a Tuesday night. Another thing that I changed, and again, this is personal preference, I definitely noticed a significant weight drop when I changed this, and I actually did it more from a position where I don't want to eat animals, and if I could, I'd be full vegetarian. I've tried so many times to be full vegetarian. I've completely cut out lamb, and I used to love eating lamb, but it's obviously such a fatty meat, so completely cut that out. And then pork as well. I was having sausage sandwiches, bacon sandwiches, pork pies, like anything pork is very fatty, and that's one thing that I cut out from reading about my dad's diagnosis with cancer, that processed meats, a lot of pork and things like that do have a lot of trans fat, which is really not good for our bodies. So I've completely cut pork out. I would say probably since maybe May or June I cut that out, and then I've eaten it over Christmas because obviously you cannot get away from pork at Christmas. It's been like pigs in blankets and all that kind of stuff, but it's made me feel, I can't tell you, something that I never thought I would cut out. Being half Polish, pork is in every goddamn Polish recipe, so I can imagine my grandparents looking down on me being like, cannot believe you're not eating pork, but I really don't miss it. I actually find eating it now just makes me feel, it's just not enjoyable. Honestly, it really turns my stomach thinking about it. So I've cut that out, and I did see, once I did cut that out, I lost another stone. It was really easy to lose weight because I was making choices to eat more fish, chicken, like really lean meats, rather than having really like processed fatty things like sausages. And I used to love like ham and stuff like that. Completely cut it out. Do not eat pork at all now. And I think after this Christmas and it being everywhere, like in stuffing and everything, and I did eat it. I don't think I will again now. Never say never, because, you know, I don't want to contradict myself, but the way it's made me feel, it's really turned my stomach, honestly. I'm not forcing anybody to do any of these things, this is just what's worked for me, but I did notice a significant difference when I cut pork out and lamb and a lot of beef as well, and focused more on eating fish and chicken, and that made a huge difference to how I was feeling. And in an ideal world, I'd love to not eat any animals, and it's something I'm really working on in the background. And so many people were helpful with vegetarian recipes, and we do a lot more vegetarian recipes, which I love, and I've shared those in my other videos if you want to look at anything that I've done recipe wise. This video is probably really long now, so I'm going to do a part 2, and in part 2 I'm going to share with you things that have really helped me to get into exercise, and things like this, like I've really rabbited on in this video. Hopefully this motivates you to get going, and then in my next video we'll talk more about healthy recipes, things that have helped me to take up exercise and what I have changed, and answering some of your questions, because I've got loads of questions through on Instagram that I'm going to answer in this next video. So I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe and give this video a like.